Hello, fellow students. Welcome to the first episode of Academy Talks. My name is Nick. My user handle is Nivvy. This is my girlfriend MJ.
Hey.
And I am here along with fellow Redditors, Bess.
Hey.
And Will.
Yo, yo, yo!
And today we are going to be discussing the Civil War event. So where do you guys want to start?
How long it took to start the Civil War event.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, I remember there was a big thing because during Guardians of the Galaxy, we knew from the outset that there were going to be 4 weeks, and they had said they gave us a really strict deadline. But the people who were doing the data mining were implying that there was potentially going to be an overtime week 5, and a lot of people who were maybe on the line, not getting Rocket, not getting Groot, had asked about an extension for that kind of thing. And there were some responses that people had posted on the Reddit about how they literally couldn't do that because Civil War had to start, and everybody was worried that they were going to be like right up against each other, just immediately going one into the next, which was kind of stressful because people were tired and all that sort of thing. And then they gave us one extra day on Guardians of the Galaxy, and then it just kind of nothing really happened for like a week. And it's been kind of this weird transition.
4 days, 5 days.
I don't know the exact days, but it
4 days,
was
'cause
longer than no days.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it was. Well, because it started. It started on Wednesday, and Guardians ended up ending on Friday. Is that right? So it was like not quite a full week, but really close.
Yeah. Almost everything got like a week lead in until.
Yeah. Well, everything was actually supposed to start on. Was it like May 1st?
Especially since like in Europe and overseas, some of them started early.
Yeah,
because the movie was actually being shown prior to, because May 6th is when it comes out in the States, but it's almost a week prior, depending on what country you're in.
Yeah. I mean, all my European friends have already seen it, and it's not out yet here, so.
Yeah. Tough.
We got a little bit of a break there, sort of. I guess somewhat unexpectedly, because I think a lot of people were expecting them to be one right after the other.
And a bit frustrating just because there's nothing wrong with taking a break, but because breaks are nice. Good to be like,
I really appreciated it, I have to say. Like
it's mostly it would just be nice if we knew, because it was almost not really a break, because a bunch of people, myself included, were still kind of like every hour or so, you're just like, did it start yet? Is it starting? Is it going to go? That thing? No, nothing? All right, put it away. So it's not quite as stressful as an event, but you don't really get to turn off that switch and just be like, okay, we're in a chill period. We're waiting for the next thing to come out. And it have been nice for there to have been it's going to start the evening of May the 4th, even just something vague like that. And I know there may have been technical issues because there were tweets about like some bugs being fixed leading into that actually starting up.
Yeah, the newsreel bug was the one that everybody was
sure, and I know I'd much rather have a late event than a broken one.
I completely agree, but I think that
no question.
I do agree. I completely agree that like it would just have been nice for them to communicate that information to us.
Yeah, we're pretty good at talking amongst ourselves on the Reddit, but every time I see the Facebook, every time I see the Twitter, there's a bunch of people who are not on Reddit who are confused and angry, all the time.
Yeah, towards the end of the break, it was definitely not relaxing whatsoever, because I would have liked some information myself. People who live in the Central Time Zone, I stayed up to 3 a.m. Literally every night waiting for this event to drop, possibly because they've done it before. They've done it with Pepper Potts. They've done it with A-Bomb, where they drop it late in the night. And if they would have communicated,
both Pepper Potts and A-Bomb, they're such tuned events that missing one by 8-12 hours feels like you're so far behind that it's significant.
The lack of information makes it stressful, and yeah, I'd rather them be like, we're still working out bugs. It definitely won't start for like the next 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Even just like, it allows you to relax that amount of time at least.
Yeah. And the confusing advertisement they had in game where they say Avengers Academy or the Civil War event starts in the next day.
Yeah.
in the next
in
day.
the next day, not next day. And I know everyone was just waiting for it, and then 24 hours had passed, and they're like, well, and it's still there.
It's a AAA level iOS game, and I think of like things that like Blizzard does or Activision or other big games when they have a like, oh, there's a patch coming at this specific time, and they'll even say, oh, the servers will be down from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And then at 1 o'clock, if they're still working, they will come in again and say, it's taking longer than expected. It will be in at least another couple hours. And yeah, people will complain about that. People will not be content with that. But at least it diffuses so much of the pressure.
As well as, like,
Speaking of the communication on things changing in the game, we don't get anything resembling patch notes. The closest thing we get are post-mortem patch notes when our lovely Reddit data miners tell us what's been changed and added to the code. And it's not that hard to say like, oh, the gold drop rate was a little higher than we thought it should be, or oh, you guys were getting too many Arclight reactors and the game is balanced to have this many over the event, so we've reduced the drop light slightly, or we've made it available in more quests for that kind of thing. Just any kind of explanation of what they're doing rather than the kind of confusion of like, oh, Wonder Man used to take 2 hours to do this and now it takes him 3. Why?
I thought the whole point of Wonder Man having a 2-hour action, if you were consistent and if you got on and you had him do it 4 times within an 8-hour setting, you can boost up from 3 to 4. And so it just makes
to reward you for additional engagement.
Right.
Yeah. But speaking of Wonder Man, so he's our first premium character for this event, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm
And
thinking
how wonderful is he? Not very. He's okay. He's all right. I like him.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one here who didn't actually buy him, right? Because all 3 of you bought him.
I bought him.
I bought him.
I bought him hard.
I bought him, and I bought it for her. And because
Oh,
he has a purple
what a
head.
gentleman.
He has a purple head.
Not yet. He doesn't.
Well,
He will when you upgrade him.
At rank 5 he will. I didn't buy him, partly because I wanted to sort of wait to see exactly how useful he would be, because I don't particularly care about Wonder Man as a character.
Sure.
And so I wanted to wait to see, like, I was willing to buy him if it looked like he was going to be, like, super useful, but he's almost 500 shards, and, like, that's like, you know, not cheap.
I don't mind that price level so much, but you do want to get more for your dollar for that kind of thing, because it was one of those where at least like Yondu felt good because he was helping you create energy disruptors that you needed through the entire event.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, Wonder Man does get a little bit of that as well, because he is helping you to get the armor that you need to craft things. But the armor in and of itself, it's one of those where one premium almost brings in secondary premium purchases, because by himself, he just kind of creates a surplus of armor, and then you can't do anything with it because you're stuck in the bottleneck of having to get arc reactors and having to get battle plans. And maybe it'll be good just because eventually you need armor for both of those things. So that way, when you're double dipping, he'll maybe be useful for that. But otherwise, it almost feels like you can't just buy Wonder Man. You have to buy Wonder Man and the arc reactor generator and the battle plan generator. And suddenly his price isn't just 500 shards. You're spending 1,500 shards to get all of the things to actually correctly utilize him.
This is just how TinyCo has structured a lot of their events. That's how these premium, the generators have consistently worked is, you know, you buy one generator and you're like, oh, that'll help me. But then, you know, you're kind of stuck unless you buy this other generator. And then the next week, oh, you also need the med kit generator now too. But with Wonder Man, I think with a lot of the event premiums, because especially week 1 premiums, we just don't know how useful they're going to be in the event long term. And so that's part of the reason why I'm holding off on Wonder Man. There's a lot of speculation about what's going to go on with this event, because like for instance, here with Civil War, we have that platform, the Hydra platform, right?
Yeah.
So we've got, you know, you've got Wonder Man in the cage, and you've got Black Panther and Agent 13, and like obviously, you know, we've already most of us have freed Black Panther by now, and then there's that one like clouded, opaque, cage. So that'll presumably
Who's in it? But yeah.
who is in it. But yeah, so we've got that platform there, and we've got all 4 of those characters standing there, the Hydra characters, and we know that Madam Hydra and Crossbones and Bucky are all going to be able to be recruitable. So there's the speculation then of what's going to happen with Red Skull.
My guess is that because he's positioned in that central position, that he's going to be our actual big bad boss fight type. So he might be our new Ronin in that we may get a second prison to stick him in. I know that he could also possibly be a recruitable. I feel like it's weird to get 2 Hydra villains in a Civil War event, but maybe we get 2. I don't know.
I mean, the thing about it is I'm assuming that he's going to be the second like mystery premium unlockable, because we have 2 that we don't know, right? And there's that one opaque cage there. And that's obviously going to be one of them, but there's only that one cage that we don't know who's in it. And so where's the second mystery character going to come from? So I think that Red Skull is going to be the second premium unlockable.
It's potential, but you also have the at Captain America's and Iron Man's little fortresses. They have a bunch of covered stuff, and I don't know if you guys have seen in between there's 2. There's like a little quiz show, little platform.
It looks like it's an arm wrestling event. If you notice, there's a big cardboard thing. There's a big hand, and there's another hand grabbing it back behind it. And that's 2 stools at a table with elbow rests. There's specifically going to be a Captain America versus Iron Man arm wrestling contest. I don't know what that means from a gameplay perspective. I haven't the foggiest if there's going to be like collect enough protein shakes and or soldier super serums or Iron Man like arm cannon things, or I don't know, whatever you would do of just like pick your side and make that person win.
I have an idea, because there's been a lot of talks about Sif being data mined in the files. What if Sif were to come down from Asgard, and Captain America and Iron Man, they arm wrestled for her favor? And
something for them to finally fight about, other than just like I think we need to be ready for other things because Ronan attacked.
Yeah,
well, I agree. We need to be ready, but I will do it in a slightly different way because we're still kind of working together, not against each other.
I have to say, I find it pretty funny that like there was so much speculation. So many people were like, oh my God, what is like the actual Civil War going to be about? Are you going to have to choose sides? And for all of this, it's basically Captain America is a Luddite. Like, who's like, I don't like your robots, Tony. Don't think I can trust that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the final verdict? Going back to Wonder Man, since all 3 of you guys have him, do you think he's worth it? Yes? No? Only get him if you really like the character? What do you think?
If you're a completionist, then you already bought him. You already know. You don't need to say that. If you're not a completionist, wait. He's not providing you enough of a bump, because right now he's maybe saving you a day or 2 of things, and then nothing that useful yet.
Yeah.
So if you buy him in like a week, because suddenly they introduce something that makes him more useful, then I would say, yeah, get him immediately. But right now, if you wait, you're not missing anything that's going to actually harm your gameplay in any specific way. So unless you really like the character or you are a completionist, my advice is wait for now. Until it's Nathan Fillion or until he does something cool.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of characters who are being voiced, and they were talking about the Hulk is John Cena. It's John Cena! Bum, ba-dum, bum. And that's a big deal. And we haven't seen more of that. And I'm actually really surprised because TinyCo has access. They could easily bring in those people and do that kind of stuff. And they haven't been. And I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen them arming some more celebrities to kind of entice you into that kind of thing. Because I know if Wonder Man was voiced by Nathan Fillion, you would be more likely to buy him. You would be thinking about it a little bit harder than you are right now.
Definitely. Okay, so the other big character in this event, right, that everybody has been talking about is Bucky. Like
Bucky Barnes.
we have to address the Bucky in the room.
So I actually got into a bit of a confused debate with a couple of other Redditors last night that because it's kind of confusing in the FAQ because they talk about him being a early access character similar
Right,
to
so
how the Hulk is right now.
Yeah, but then it's confusing because he's also at the end like Groot was. He's at the end of that chain. But then he's also on the character list got a gold background, which is the premiums.
TinyIHD posted on Reddit, an actual representative from the company, and they said, and I quote, "Could you clarify in the original post that early unlock means that Bucky will be available sometime after the event if you miss out this time? Bucky will be free, but difficult to get. If you do miss, you don't get the event, you're not on top of it. Sometime after that, they will introduce him as the new Hulk. Presumably when Hulk unlocks as the story character, they will then bring out Bucky as our new carrot on a stick of, oh, you'll have this guy eventually, and you can have him right now if you just give us more money."
Once you get to the end of the event, week 5, if you join this event 2 weeks beforehand, I think that for those people who started late, or they just found out about Bucky and they found about this app and they downloaded it and they want Bucky and they realize, oh, but the only free way to get him is if I had been here since week 1. I think at week 5 they're going to, I don't think they're going to wait a while before they allow the early access purchase of Bucky. I think they're going to start week 5, and I think that's why he's gold in the character roster. Because MJ, if I got Bucky and you didn't get Bucky, how pissed would you be?
I would quit.
Okay.
You quit the game?
Yes.
Even if you knew like a month from now you'd get him for free?
Probably. I mean, like, we put so much work into these events, and it's like, we try so hard, and like, I don't want it to be necessarily super easy, but slightly easier, where it's like, you worked so hard, and I could have gotten Groot if there was one more day. So I mean,
feel like
I'm not too
if
mad.
if you have perfect attendance, if you participate every single day, like with relative diligence, I feel like you should be able to get it.
At the end of this event, they do need to add to the story, because I know once Guardians of the Galaxy event ended and I had this break, I was like, okay, cool. I had 1 or 2 days where I had at least 8 hours of sleep, and that was nice. But after that, I was fully caught up with the story. I had all the characters, and I know MJ, she enjoyed it because she's right now on Ant-Man right now. But for myself, I was bored. All I was doing was grinding for coins, and I was waiting for this event to drop because they need to provide something for the players who are all caught up, who are on top of it. And I hope at the end of this event, regardless if they're doing another event soon, there is a story drop. So
it's time.
We can
it's
progress.
It's time for Hawkeye. It's time for some story.
Yes.
It's time for them to finally unlock the Gamma Zone. Am I right?
Right.
Yes.
I need more
Bring
space.
in Hulk.
I need
put in level 35.
Yeah.
Nerf the XP gains. Give us Hulk. Give us Hawkeye. And let those be a grind. Let that be something that takes us a couple weeks to get. That's fine. It doesn't have to be a time-limited event for it to be 2 weeks of content that you slide into something new.
Right. I think that I am hoping that they don't start doing all these events back to back at the detriment of like almost no story updates for a really long time, because I think we're really due for a story like a main story update.
Because we need all the space we can get for the bobbleheads.
Yeah. Oh my god, those damn bobbleheads. Okay, do any of you guys actually like those? I know there are like a minority of people who are like, oh my god, I love the bobbleheads.
If they were smaller, I would leave them out.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
At 2x2, they're too big, so I've got them. They're all in storage right now because there's too much real estate. I can't afford to have that many 2x2s taking up stuff. If they're 1x1s, then they get to start filling in gaps, little decorative gaps that naturally fall in between the buildings, and I'm more likely to just leave them out and sitting around because they are kind of funny. But at 2x2, they're just so big and goofy right
Yeah,
now.
you gotta pick your
I-
favorites.
Especially if you look. Oh, especially if you look at.
I love the idea. I love the idea that a bunch of people have suggested on the Reddit that we should be able to use all of our extra Pym particles to shrink them down to 1 by 1.
Yes,
Ooh.
that would be
Because,
an
like,
amazing.
I feel like everybody has this excess of Pym particles just like sitting around. We have no more debris to clear, and like we need.
But then
to
we
do
have to.
something
Then
with
we get a
them.
special building, and that building is the Bobblinator, and that has to go, and we have to unlock that, and that's going to be Pym. And then to get that, you're going to have to do 20 Charlestons in a row.
Yep.
Put that out there,
Oh
and then
my God.
don't do that, TinyCo. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So we have all these villains on this Hydra platform, and so obviously we've got
Are
a
they all
pretty
villains?
good
I guess Crossbones is a villain, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, they're all villains.
I like his tats.
I mean, Bucky
I
is
don't.
a little.
No, they're fine.
Bucky's a little more complicated, obviously, but like Madam Hydra, Crossbones,
Fair.
and Red Skull are all like definitely villains.
Mhm.
And I'm definitely curious. I'm so stoked about Madam Hydra. Oh my god, I was pretty surprised that she was gonna be recruitable, but I'm so stoked because she has like probably like definitely one of my favorite character designs in the entire game. I think she looks awesome. My eye makeup today is in honor of Madam
Yeah,
Hydra.
I know
so
when-
I'm so stoked I get to recruit her. But honestly, like, how do we think that's gonna go down story-wise? Because like, how the hell are they gonna make it make sense that Madam Hydra gets recruited as a student to Avengers Academy?
The answer is they won't make it make sense. It's going to make exactly as much sense as Baron Zemo being like, "Hello, I am Zemo. I joined the academy now," and everyone's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, Hail Hydra? Don't say that. I say it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm Zemo. And that's been like his whole thing, is that he's still like, they kind of in the story were a little bit like, well, you know, there are alternate versions, there are alternate realities everywhere, and in almost every reality you've been a bad guy, but maybe in this one, maybe in this one you can find redemption. Because I'm Hank Pym and I'm crazy, and I'm basically like, I'm a mad. He feels like Krieger from Archer to me in this universe, where he's just a little unhinged and a little bit like something a little dark's going on back there somewhere. But he seems like a happier, friendlier Krieger.
Yeah, I have to say, I think that I find it really funny that like basically with everything they're just like, this doesn't make sense. Time fog.
Yes.
Like, they're basically
Time fog answers all questions.
Yes.
they're basically using time fog as like in the same way that DC in like the early 2000s or the mid 2000s was like Superboy punch time. This is the answer for why anything doesn't make sense. Like,
I don't even mind that. I don't even mind. That's fine.
No, I mean I don't like mind. I think it's funny that they're just like time fog.
Anyway, because I know when I first saw Madam Hydra on talking to her in the story mode, I was like, I want her. And then
Yeah.
I wanted her too, but
Baron
maybe
Z-
not the same.
Then
I'm sorry, that's too much. That's too much information. I apologize.
all right, and then Baron Zemo, was introduced as a premium, and therefore I was like, are they gonna go the same route as Madam Hydra? So I'm so glad that they aren't going the same route as Zemo, and they are having her as an event character because the model's there, why not use her?
Yeah.
No,
I honestly, even if they made her premium, I would pay for her because, like, oh my god, she is so awesome. I love Madam Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Yes, so. But yeah, so okay.
Talk about the mystery boxes, and I mostly want to talk about the mystery boxes because, man, do I not want mystery boxes.
Does anybody want mystery boxes? I don't think anyone wants mystery boxes.
I do,
I
especially
No.
especially if they have the Captain America costume that reduces the Charleston by 7 hours locked behind it.
But the
I
problem
would
is,
love
if they
to.
do that, it's going to be so hard to get because the problem is I can't think of anybody who's like, I really wish that there was a way that I could just spend a ton of money and get a bunch of crap that I don't need out of it.
Right.
Because it's always a random chance, and there's going to be because if the main thing to get out of the mystery boxes is that super awesome Captain America Falcon costume, who
Guys,
by glitch you've been able to use for free for the first.
Please never change that bug. I love it. I want Sam to be wearing that outfit always. Please never change it.
That's what I'm worried. They're gonna fix it, and like they could make it premium. If you said, "Hey, give us shards for that outfit," if it's like a 400 shard outfit,
yeah,
I'll buy it.
I was gonna say I would pay 300 shards for that outfit, but like I'm not gonna shell out like 100 or 200 shards over and over and over in the hope that I will get a mystery box that has that rare drop Falcon outfit.
It's in the one exception to this that I've seen is when they have a set number of prizes, and there's a mystery box, and there's say maybe 6 or 7 potential prizes, and every time you put a quarter in that machine, and it's not a quarter, it's like $1 or several dollars, you end up getting one of those things, and it gets removed from your prize pool. So the next time you go in, there are 6 things, and you get one of those, and there are 5, and you get one of those, and eventually you'll get that costume guaranteed, and that's okay. But inevitably, you're going to end up rather than spending 300, 400 shards to get that particular one costume you want, you're going to end up spending 1,500, 2,000 shards to get the costume you want and a bunch of like decorative crap that you don't want or need. That's going to be like Hamburger Hulk sitting back in the background, who's cute and all, but not worth premium purchases.
No, and I think that's TinyCo's entire economic, motivation for doing it this way is because there are those people who are gonna pay for every damn one of those mystery boxes until they get that thing that they want. But
it's just so unfriendly. It's such an anti-consumer practice to do things like that. It's really aggressively just.
PSA, I was being sarcastic earlier when I was saying I really wanted the Captain America outfit to go behind those. Just saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I don't think any of the players actually want these mystery boxes, but like from a capitalist perspective, I understand why TinyCo is doing it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Along those lines, and it's a pain. The correct way to protest mystery boxes is to not buy mystery boxes.
Yes.
And vote with your wallet. And so, as a general announcement, not just to Reddit or YouTube or anybody watching this, generally it's best to not reward that kind of business behavior. It's really hard. I know when they released a Groot bobblehead and they hid it behind a chain of a bunch of energy disruptors in the Guardians of the Galaxy event, that was one of the few premium things that I was like, I'm not buying this. I don't need energy disruptors that much. I think the price point is too high. I don't think the bobbleheads are interestingly enough. And I was almost kind of annoyed to see people being like, this is a terrible way to give us a thing, but I want it, so here's 350 shards. It's just like, but you're encouraging them to do that again whenever you get that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I mean, clearly a lot of people had a lot of strong opinions about that, because if I recall correctly on the subreddit, that is in fact what started Bobblegate.
That's what nuked the Reddit.
Yeah.
Over that.
Literally.
I mean, not directly. It was that was probably going to happen no matter what, but that was definitely the straw that made the camel explode.
I haven't unlocked Iron Widow yet, and that is the one thing where I'm like, I mean, definitely Wonder Man helps you blow through that bottleneck, because like I'm bottlenecked at those damn Widow stars, which only drop on heroics, and you can
those are slow, especially since you don't have a 5-minute repeat, so it's a lot harder to get rid of those heroics.
Oh my god, the 30-minute reset timer! I am not a fan.
It's a bit too long.
It needs to go.
I understand if you don't want to do the 5-minute timer like you did for the Guardians event, but just make it 20 minutes like the normal mission board. Like, why is it 30 minutes? That's ridiculous.
Right. Anybody from TinyCo, if you're watching this, please do reasonable things. We will support you. We will long-term support you through the game because we like the things that you are doing. Please don't punish us in reward, and we will reward you as a reward for not punishing us. Just be fair. Just do a fun game.
It's a circle of rewards if you do the right thing.
We like the things that you're doing. That's the entire reason we're playing this. The entire reason we're making things like this at all. Because there's a lot of good things going on here, and it's mostly whoever is in charge of those decisions, ease up on it.
You did this, TinyCo. You did this.
You did this. You did this.
You did this.
All right. Well, If you guys enjoyed this first episode of Academy Talks, please leave a comment in below, stressing that you did enjoy watching us do this, and then we will do more with more people, such as yourselves. I know there was
thumbs up.
yeah, thumbs.
Or a thumbs down. That's fine.
Or thumbs down.
Just engage with the stream in some way.
And if you really want to support us, please subscribe to this channel. It's fairly new, and I would very much so appreciate it. And I guarantee you that I will be back doing this again with the same people, more people, different people, and all from the Reddit community, which I love. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Other than that, thank you again for listening. See you in class.